back literally to each individual and gave them personal, confidential feedback in terms of their genetic profile. The dominating percentage was Khoi.
Today, all Khoi descendants are classified as colored, a political move by the colonial and apartheid governments effectively stripping Khoi descendants of any claims to land by changing their name and cutting them from their native roots. Where did they come from? For many years, historians were puzzled by their origin, and there were many theories.
The research around the origin of the Khoi has been going on for many, many years. Archaeologists, historians, linguists, anthropologists, and geneticists became involved. The geneticists have set up a genetic tree of humankind with all these branches. The lowest branch, in other words, the oldest branch, and a sub-branch of that branch is called the LOD, and that is the oldest example of humanity, and that's where the Khoi belong, and also the Bushmen in this country. Because of the migration history and the development of Khoi as such, when they intermingled with the Bushmen in northern Botswana and eventually down, they actually share, do the Khoi and the Bushmen, a common gene pool.
So you have in the beginning, you have reports that there are anything between 150,000 and 200,000 Khoi people in the Cape. You also have reports from the Europeans that they had tens of thousands of herds of cattle, 20 of thousands of herds of sheep. So you had a rich people with a sustainable livelihood who had the land and who had the water, and they were probably one of the most successful farming communities in Africa, not just in South Africa. In 1904, the census shows that the Nama, the Korana, the Damara, the Cape Khoi, around about 96,000 are recorded in the census as Hottentot. And then there's another column in the census where they say mixed or other, and that's around 300,000. The following census takes place in 1911, when the Union of South Africa is now in place. Suddenly there is no more a column of Hottentot or Khoi people. There's only a column called colored. So if we come to... There was 1,071 ships on the outward bound journey alone from Europe, stopping at the Cape between 1600 and 1652. Some 200,000 people passed through the Cape at Table Bay before Van Riebeeck. The Dutch and the French and the British and the Portuguese and the Danes, their ships were battered. They needed timber, they needed salt, they needed meat. They would stop off in the Cape for anything between 3 weeks and 9 months. So in this period of 50 years before Van Riebeeck, there was a huge traffic. The indigenous people were quite used to foreigners coming along, and indeed what happened in 1613 was that an indigenous man by the name of Khore was kidnapped together with another guy, and they were taken to England. What the English idea was that they wanted to create a small colony. Van Riebeeck came and he built his fort right on top of Achamawa's small settlement, next to the river, and then he dammed the river so that they strategically controlled the most important resource. And this pattern starts to unfold for the next 180 years, where water is constantly being seized along with land and dispossession is happening. They start encouraging what they call trekboers to move into new lands, and they create a legal instrument for them to do that called a grazing license. So they give these would-be farmers grazing licenses. They move into the Khoi lands. They take the Khoi's cattle and they seize the watering holes. And then the Dutch East India Company created another legal instrument called a Lening-Platz, a loan farm.
And the loan farm system is basically saying to white settlers, there's no impediment now on you taking land. There's no one going to stop you from taking land, so you can go and take land. The Khoi aren't going to resist you anymore. They're probably not there in the same numbers anymore. So you can take the land, and the only stipulation is that you pay an annual rental to the company.
Through colonialism, literally within 50 years, the backbone of this entire economy is suddenly eroded. Now, what we are told by the colonial history books is that there was the smallpox epidemic in 1713 and that everybody got wiped out. Now, that's just absolutely not true.